All right, I'd like to call the regular March meeting of the Police and Fire Commission to order. We'll start with the roll call. Commissioner Shaw,
Here.
Commissioner Kupke,
Here.
and I'm Commissioner Goldhahn. Commissioner Wanizak and Commissioner Boyle-Roloff will be here shortly. Approval of the minutes. You had a copy of the minutes mailed to you. Any changes or additions to
We
that?
actually have the agenda first.
Oh, excuse me, approval of the agenda.
Okay.
So you have the agenda mailed to you. Any changes or additions? Okay, I'll ask for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Shaw. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Kopke. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, approval of the minutes. So in your packet were the minutes from the December 2nd, 2019 meeting, which was our last regular meeting. Any changes or additions to those? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Shaw,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Kopke. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, those minutes are approved. Our next two agenda items are both closed session items. So as we've historically done, we'll go into we'll have one closed session vote, which will cover both of these. And coming out of closed session, I'll report on, I'll do two separate reports. So the first one is consideration with possible action on the review of patrol officer candidate backgrounds. The commission may convene in closed session pursuant to sections 19.85, paragraph 1, sub C and F Wisconsin statutes to consider employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. The commission may thereafter reconvene in open session pursuant to sections 19.85, paragraph 2 Wisconsin statutes to report the results of the closed session and consider the balance of the agenda. And the next closed session item will include interviews with patrol officer candidates. Please take note that pursuant to sections 19.85, paragraph 1, sub C and F Wisconsin statutes, the commission may convene in closed session for the purpose of interviewing, evaluating, and considering employment of patrol officer candidates. So is there a motion to go into closed session for those two items?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Kopke.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Shaw. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are in closed session.
Okay, it's up.
Okay, because of the schedule of interviews, we are suspending the closed session temporarily and going back into open session to handle the balance of the agenda before our final interview. So we will start off with item number 3, which is consideration with possible action on the communications, the budget status report, and the budget spreadsheet. A change which you found in your packet is, in the past, police and fire, the budget for the PFC was considered one budget. And now, beginning with 2020, they'll be separated by the jurisdiction. So we'll have a separate budget status report and spreadsheet for police and a separate one for fire. So that's why it's 6. So we ended 2019 at spending about 75% of our budget. I think that had a lot to do with the fact that we did not hire any fire individuals. And for the beginning of 2020, it's all recruiting items and the payment for Fox Valley Tech for use of our fire candidates. So any other questions on either of those for Jen? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to receive those and place on file.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Wanizak,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Shaw. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And consideration with possible action on request to approve the bills. The bills were set in your packet, and they were, again, just relative to physicals and recruiting items. Any questions or discussion? Not, I'll entertain a motion to authorize payment.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Boyle-Roloff. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Shaw. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll pay the bills. The reports of the chiefs, the president. I have Nothing new to report other than a change in our financial reporting. So we'll turn it over to Chief Liddon.
We don't have a whole lot to report on, so, last meeting we talked about the time sheet process. I think we reserved 3 days. Coming up, I think it was this week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or was it next week? I don't know.
This week.
This week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And after, the application process closed, we ended up with two candidates that are on the current list. And we're anticipating 2 positions being open this year, one in November and one in December. And so after discussion with staff, it didn't seem to make sense to have a full-blown process again for 2 people that have already made our list and have competed in the process the last several times and haven't made the list both times, both of the individuals. So we decided to just pare that down to a more of a very informal interview to kind of touch on their strengths and weaknesses, because we felt comfortable, or we feel comfortable with making recommendations towards the end of the year to go ahead and have them fill the vacant positions. But kind of just a review of where they're at, what we might be doing with them between now and then as far as some educational opportunities, and just kind of go through some of the things that we saw in their practical analysis and things of that nature, just kind of break it up. So that's the process. I think we talked with Chairman Golan about that. We feel comfortable with that. It doesn't make a lot of sense to waste a lot of your time and a lot of our time over something that's not going to change the outcome, because they're both going to make the list and they're both eventually going to take the job. So just made sense to us without being competitive in nature. So that's what we're going with. If any of you want to sit in on those interviews, it'll be this Thursday. Tentatively, one of the individual had a family emergency, so I'm not quite sure he's going to be there Thursday yet. We can be flexible with him, but Thursday right now, morning is just going to, so if you want further details, let me know. We asked Jen if she wants to come and sit in. So what's going on with that? I'll tell you that we did receive the notification for the next Fox Valley Technical College testing process. Of course, we want to get in that again. It hasn't changed. It's exactly the same thing, same pricing, same everything. So I do not have the contract yet, but as soon as I have that, we'd like to get authorization to, it's not on the agenda, so we'll have to go on next month's agenda for approval to begin the process. But just letting you know that it will be coming shortly.
I think last year we just had that as an informational item. Is that how you want to handle it again this year,
Yeah.
being that it's the same
I think since
process?
we've already approved that as a process and there's no changes, I don't think we need to authorize it.
It's exactly the same process
Yeah.
again. We don't know whether or not we'll be hiring, but we still need to be in the process, and we still need to be able to recruit folks and so forth. So we'll go ahead and move forward with that. Last thing I wanted to report on, we had the Wisconsin State Fire Chiefs Association Winter In-Service Leadership Conference here in Green Bay over the weekend. We had about 70, almost 80 fire chiefs from around the state here at the Hotel Northland to talk about various processes. So I was elected last June as the second vice president for the Wisconsin State Chiefs. So as part of those responsibilities and awesome pay that we received for that, I was charged with putting together the program and selecting the site. So the Hotel Northland we were able to get rooms and facilities there. It was fantastic. They really did a great job there at the Hotel Northland, and I've called the general manager to inform him of such. But we touched on some topics I just wanted to bring up real quick, but some emerging concerns for us. So we had a lady in from the Rosecrans Flooring Group. So it's a group out of Rockford, Illinois, but they have 62 facilities across the country now, starting in Rockford, that deals with mental health, PTSD, substance abuse issues, and first responders in the military. So that's all the program is focused on that. So she led it off as the keynote and talked about spotting the risk and talking about key factors and things. And so it was very, very interesting. And that flowed right into another lady that's a consulting firm talking about the 5 levels of fatigue, managing fatigue from boredom to burnout, which there's a lot of those things that are similarly situated with PTSD, and just kind of being able to understand the levels of fatigue. So that was well received. In the afternoon we spent talking more along the lines of what the commission, you know, would be doing. We had one of the individuals from our management team, the state chiefs, talking about branding your department, make it more appealing or the most appealing. And quite honestly, I find ourselves to be very appealing across the state, so I think we've seen that in the fact that we have brought career firefighters from other departments here regularly because they all want to work here, so. But it was an interesting discussion on branding and being out there and talking about using social media and all those things, and it was very well received. And then we followed that up, the last thing was Chief Stanley from Oshkosh, who was one of my competitors, and his topic was hunting and gathering, which, again, recruiting folks for our positions, and we've all seen that those numbers have reduced. And then on Saturday, we had Dr. Grant Peasley in he's a professor of physics, a doctor, Notre Dame, University of Notre Dame, talking about the PFAS issue. You guys have been seeing that on the news, PFAS, which is a fluorine carbon compound that's called the forever chemical. It's in our firefighting foam. So there's a lot of legislation that's going on right now, a lot of work on the state level that I'm involved in with figuring out what we're going to do with these things, how we're going to get rid of these things, and who's going to pay for these things. So we have about 1,600 gallons of this stuff here in Green Bay that I have taken off the vehicles that are in storage. They will not be used because it's an emerging known detriment to the environment. It's a pretty significant detriment. We also found out from Dr. Peasley that these materials are used, there's 4,800 different formulas of these things, and they're used in everything from Teflon to anything waterproofing, Scotchgard, you name it. The most important thing we found out, it's in our turnout gear. So the very stuff that we put firefighters in to protect them from heat and fire and all those things, we found out that it's in the gear. Right now, there is no alternative. It is shown or being shown to potentially cause cancer. So we've obviously got a great concern there, but we have no other alternative at this point, so.
No alternative for the chemical in the gear, but there is an alternative for the 1,600 gallons.
Well, there is, well, here's the thing, there is an alternative, so going, instead of having a C8, which is 8 parts of carbon, down to a 6 part of carbon, they found that while they're calling it fluorine-free, it meets the thresholds right now, but they think that the research is showing that the C6 is just as bad and worse in different areas, so there's not going to be an easy fix here. This stuff's been around since 1940s, was developed during World War II. All the big chemical manufacturers, of course, are making it, so. We've got a lot of work to do there, but more importantly, we're involved in the legislative effort at the state level to make sure that we're not getting stuck with the bill for cleaning this stuff up. So we've got some challenges there. So we had the doctor in, and right after that, we had the Department of Natural Resources in, because they're getting pigeonholed and stuck in the middle of all this. They're going to be the agency that's going to be regulating and controlling and investigating and potentially finding those that use it and or cause environmental damage. So that was an interesting conversation. And then the last, close it out with an individual who, 30-year Marine Corps veteran, also a lieutenant in Hollywood, Florida, was here talking about situational awareness and kind of an anti-terrorism front. He's taught all over the world, 30 years in, as a gunny sergeant when he left. Very dynamic guy, so he had a lot of great pointers about situational awareness and things of that nature. And then the last thing on the agenda, and I want to give him some kudos, was Chief Goplin. He talked about the year-long effort we had in conjunction with the police department on active threats and the entire policy that was put together between the police department and the fire department, the people that Chief Smith put in, the 2 training officers, our training officer, culminating in what I consider to be state-of-the-art policy now. And at the end of Rob's presentation, we must have had 30 requests for all of our documentation and our procedures and things of that nature. So that just goes to a testament of the fact that it's, I think that Brown County, I think that Green Bay, I don't think there's anybody else in the state that's doing this. I will tell you that the Molson Coors deal down in Milwaukee, the next day I was sitting across from Chief Dolphin from Milwaukee, a pretty good friend of mine. He was here, and he was telling me how much better they could have done on a couple of fronts. So I'm pretty proud of what our people in police and fire department put together. And we're, just looking more like it's going to be certainly a model in the state, and maybe more so in other areas as well. So Rob did a great job in presenting that. Lots of interest. So that concludes my report.
Back up on the battalion chief, you always want to have something in the pipeline for the future, so any concerns about some of the younger engineers and officers coming up?
Yeah, there's absolutely a concern. The reason that, as we talked with folks, the reason that people are stepping away from it is the compression issue and compensation.
Okay.
It's just flat out, you can stay on the line and work as a captain and make more money than you can as a battalion chief. And so we've addressed that with human resources. We've got a situation ongoing right now that we're working through, but it's going to be an ongoing issue.
Okay.
You can't expect to give people more responsibility and pay them less money than you're paying somebody that's in the union. So that's a serious issue that has to be addressed. I think it's the same issue in the police side as it is on our side, because the battalion chiefs and I think the captains are in the same pay grade in the city pay plan. So I think that there's some issues there. We talked with several of the captains senior captains that we thought were going to put in, and it was kind of the common thread of why would I do that based on the responsibility. So, not for a lack of wanting to take on more responsibility, but certainly, to be compensated for it is another issue. So,
You said it's being reviewed right now?
yeah, we have one specific instance. I'm not going to go into great
Oh,
detail
sure.
about it, but
Yeah.
I think it's a matter of where we cite them in on the 7-step program and the city's pay scale. I think that's really where the discussion is at. They're probably going too low on the scale and maybe have to go towards the top. But it really is a matter of policy from the city and over the finance committee and the council and the mayor. They have direct control over that.
Okay. Rick, any other questions?
So we are working through it. I don't think that it's an obstacle, but right now today we have a resolution to.
Just one spot to go down
Sure.
down the road.
Yep.
Any other questions for Chief Linton?
Maybe one, do we have any statistics on how our force, either active and retirees, have been affected by the chemicals with cancer? Is that anything that we've studied?
I will tell you that annually more firefighters die across the country from cancer than they do from line of duty death, meaning the active duty or emergency response. And there are no great statistics on once they've retired what it looks like. But I will tell you just anecdotally from my experience that I think the statistic from NIOSH is that 2/3 of retired firefighters will come down with one of the top 10 forms of cancer that affect firefighters
After retiring?
after you retire. And then you're off the job and it's not compensatable.
Yeah.
or anything else. It's a problem that we've addressed from an aspect of it. We've done everything we could possibly do at this point that's known to eliminate exposure, or not eliminate, but reduce exposure, which is never going to eliminate.
And if they're active, it's confidential.
That's correct. It's a problem. It's a big problem. And, it's a problem that we're never ever gonna eliminate. It's part of what we do. Exposure carcinogens. It's a matter of what we do to reduce it and clean them up after the fact. So we've implemented every known best practice right now in the city. We did that probably 6 years ago, right after I got here. So doing everything we can. The foam issue is one of those things where I will tell you that back 25 or 30 years ago, we would literally put this foam through high expansion air generators, and that would be part of our fire prevention kit with big kids. They'd be running through foam like it was a bubble bath. That was new.
We did a lot of things years ago.
Not here in Green Bay, but where I've come from, and that was a general practice around the country. I'll just tell you that. That's just it's mind-boggling that you find this stuff out 30 years later, like, holy cow, not good.
think they the right steps to reduce it, that's important.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I think everything else on the agenda is police-related and interviews, so I'm sure you've got plenty of things to do. I realize that I missed the part about setting the date of the next meeting, so we'll tentatively set it for the first Thursday in April, and then we'll adjust from there.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Have a good
All right,
night.
Chief.
Enjoy the sunshine.
So, I always like to start off with crime. You know, crime has edged up and up a notch this year. Right now, we're looking at a 12% increase in violent crime, a 2% increase in property crime, and a total increase of about 4%. I sent you the statistics today, this afternoon, so you should have those on your email when you get home. The violent crime is being led by aggravated assaults. Last year at this time, we had 30. Right now, we're sitting at 45. We're looking at all those numbers and trying to figure out what it is. A lot of those are domestic violence related, but we'll have an incident like we had on Friday, where we had that, or Friday into Saturday, where we had that stabbing. 5 people were stabbed, and it was basically several people armed themselves with knives and ended up stabbing each other. One fellow had to be flown to Milwaukee with some serious stab wounds. Doesn't look like anyone's going to die over this, but it's a huge concern when something like the bar fight spills out into the street and multiple people end up getting stabbed. But there's 5 aggravated assaults for us in 1 5-minute period of time. That's the only big one that's up in the violent side. On the property side, burglaries. And I wish I could say there was a specific pattern of where they're occurring and a specific individual that's doing it, but we're up from 21 to 38, which is a huge increase for us in burglaries. And we had just 1 this past week, but keeping an eye on those and making sure our detectives are following up on those, especially when we see a pattern. Our goal is when we see a pattern, last year for instance, we had a pattern of someone breaking into apartment laundromats and breaking open the coin holder. I mean, that's a desperation move. It's either kids looking for money to go play video games or what do they do nowadays, or somebody with a drug habit. And so our goal is to get on top of those as soon as we start seeing a pattern, so we can get them on the 2nd or 3rd one before we have it happen the 12th or the 15th one. Traffic, our motor vehicle thefts are down just 1, 23 last year, 22 this year, but that's a nice change from me having to say that on the radio every time I talk about, or on TV every time I talk about crimes. The good news is our citations, as you know, that the alderpersons and the community have really been enthusiastic about writing more citations, doing more traffic enforcement, getting people to slow down here in Green Bay. So I sent these numbers out to you, but last year, this month, February, 430. This month, 883 citations were written. So our officers are out there working really, really hard. We doubled up our traffic officers. We had 2, now we have 4, and we picked 2 really hard-working guys to join them, so they're tearing it up as far as writing traffic. I rode around with Tom Herbert the other day. Interesting thing is he gives more warnings than he gives citations, and he still gives close to 100 citations a month. But he'll stop people and say, okay, I'm going to give you a warning for this, But when they do that, he writes it in his notes, and if he sees the same guy doing the same thing, you're not going to get a warning the second time. And there's some easy pickings out there. He doesn't write traffic, and most of our guys don't write speeding tickets for less than 15 miles an hour over.
Wow.
So if you're in a 25-mile-an-hour zone and you're doing 40, you can count that you're going to get somebody who's going to pay attention to you.
Webster Avenue's gonna get really tough.
Webster Avenue is tough to get. It's tough to get down to 25 on there.
Yeah.
And they're looking at the traffic committee's looking at that as to whether they should adjust that or not.
And are these citations all traffic citations or every sort of possible citation?
These are all traffic, so, and you could get 2, there could be a seatbelt violation or a distracted driving violation as well as a speed violation.
Okay.
So that would count as 2 tickets or 2 citations.
Okay, good to know.
Is there a real increase in this social, human trafficking stuff? Social media is posting so many different scam type things for human trafficking.
Yeah, I spoke with
Have
a-
we seen a lot of that?
No. I did, although we do have a concern about it, especially
Yeah.
at some of the little massage parlors. I think there's really 2 types of human trafficking. One is the, human trafficking individuals for sex or sex
Right.
work, and the other one is human trafficking individuals for just like domestic labor. And sometimes you'll see a domestic labor. Certainly, I have never seen that here in Green Bay, but in other places you'll see someone who's got a servant, someone from China. They take away their passports. They don't let them have any freedom. They don't let them have any contact with the outside world. They pay them nothing or next to nothing, and they basically keep them there sometimes for years we see. Sometimes you see them in you call it a sweatshop or whatever, but they'll have a business that's got a big chain link fence around it, and they'll sleep there and they'll work there and whatnot. My bigger concern is people being trafficked up here for sex. That would be underage, usually women, usually from bigger cities, Milwaukee, Chicago, coming up here. I think we're kidding ourselves. We don't think it's happening, at least somewhat. But I spent some time with the FBI, and they have a whole task force looking at this. We have several officers that are on top of this, specifically Craig Packle, one of our detectives, who pays attention to this, who gets to know the women that are involved in the sex business and does whatever he can, working with iHeart World and nonprofits like that to try and get women out of that situation. But I don't see it as a huge problem. I mean, one case is one too many, obviously, but I don't see a bunch of women getting trafficked up here. A couple years ago, we got, I think, a 16-year-old woman from Milwaukee that was being trafficked up here, brought to a hotel. We got her out, basically rescued her, held people accountable for that. So it's something we definitely pay
I
attention
guess
to.
I just noticed a lot of people posting it. I mean, I go shopping to all these malls by myself,
Mhm.
and some of these women they're gonna be afraid to go to these malls if it's as big as
Right.
some of these
And
people are
you-
saying, and I'm thinking, I don't think
And
so.
I'll once in a while get a call, and it happens a couple times a year. Someone will call me and say, hey, I heard that 2 girls were grabbed off the street in Green Bay.
Mhm.
It's on social media. Not the case. Has not
I
happened in
think a
4
lot of it's
years.
getting posted that's not real.
Right. But a legitimate concern, it's
Yeah.
something to certainly keep an eye on.
Don't
Speaking
put
of
no effect on
sexual,
it on my time.
speaking of stuff, we have a meeting tonight at 6 o'clock at the library about a violent sexual convicted fellow who is being released from Milwaukee into our community. I've been talking to judges and anybody that'll listen to see, how is this happening? How is a guy from Milwaukee who committed his crimes down there, he's from down there, suddenly find his way into a neighborhood in Green Bay? And of course, the neighbors are calling me, up in arms, saying, how can we let this happen? So I've been working with our city attorney. I'm gonna go to the meeting tonight and see if there's anything that can be done to keep this kind of thing from happening. Apparently, there's a judge in Milwaukee that says, well, there's no place for you in Milwaukee, so we'll send you to Green Bay. And all of a sudden, he ends up in a nice family neighborhood in Green Bay, and people are selling their houses, and people are calling me, and in a panic because these individuals are living in a house there. So that's something we'll work on tonight. Jeff Engelbrecht is one of our lieutenants, and he's been going around doing a great job going to all the different businesses in Green Bay and offering to provide active shooter training. That's something that we offer to people within the city of Green Bay. We say we'll give you 1 4-hour block. He really enjoys doing it. He's really, really good at it. And he's done over 1,000 people, I think over 100 different businesses he's gone to. He did WFRV yesterday, I think, so we put a post up of that on our Facebook. But I just let people know that if anybody's interested in having that, does a great job. It's free of charge for anybody in the city of Green Bay. And the good news of the day is the hedgehog was returned today.
Yes.
Talked to the folks from the parks. He was stolen out of the wildlife sanctuary, and somebody walked in and plopped him on the counter and said, here's your hedgehog, and turned around and walked out. So, end of that mystery.
What did they say when you did that? Thank you.
What's happening with the new police fire building?
We're still working on it. The problem is that, it's a question of funding. It's a $35 million plus for the facility. I met regularly with the mayor, and as recently as a couple weeks ago, he's still committed to building it, but it's just a matter of gathering that amount of money. And with the financial situation that the city's in, we're still down 13 officers right now from where we should be at 194. We're at 181. So it's a struggle to find that kind of money and even to get that much bonding space. So he's committed. I certainly am 100% behind it, but it's just a matter of gathering up enough money to do it, and I certainly don't think it's going to be done in the next couple of years. But with a 4 or 5 year window, I think that's what we're looking at.
Would that be a combination of tax dollars and also private donations, things of that sort?
I think mostly it's going to be bonded money, in talking to Diana and the folks, mostly it has to be bonded money. There may be some federal money that's available or state money that's available, but again, we'll have to see. That's for financial folks that are smarter about that than I am. I know 35 million is about the price that they were looking at, but that could go up every year as construction costs rise over the course of the years.
about what it costs to build the Crest Center, and I know there was a combination between community dollars, bonded dollars, and all of
Yeah.
that, so.
Yeah, I don't know how
It's
much
expensive
luck
building.
we'd have with the donated
Yeah,
dollars unless we,
yeah.
well, maybe. But I'm open to whatever funding mechanism they have. I think it's probably gonna have to be bonded money for the most part.
For sure. Also, I'm encouraged by your partnership with I Heart World. My friend Megan Dickman works for them, and that's awesome. You guys
Oh,
have
they
a
do a great job. yeah.
connection there. Yeah, that's awesome.
And we had to give Big Green Bay this past week. We had, I want to say $15,000 or so that we were able to get, so it was a great
That's
response
amazing.
from people. That was great, so. And looking to see what the Packers are going to match for that, and then we'll make an announcement of that down the road once we figure out the total.
You guys still do your coffee with the top and things of that sort, I assume.
Over at the ADRC, yeah, we do that at different coffee shops around. This one happened to be good because we partnered with ADRC, and they're great folks over there, and there's a lot of fun over there doing that. You
Awesome.
can make a mean caramel macchiato latte, whatever, so as long as someone guides me through it, I can do it.
Sure, nice. Well, thank you for doing that. That's
Yeah,
important.
thanks.
And we had the active shooter training at our church, and that was very good, very well done.
Jeff is great, he's so knowledgeable, he's done all the research on it, knows what works, what doesn't work, he'll be able to tell you if the door is closed and locked, no suspect has breached a closed locked door, and goes through all the different scenarios, what's worked, what didn't, how it ended, and what steps people can do. I think the bottom line is think in advance of what you're gonna do and how you're gonna react, so that when something happens, you're not sitting there trying to come up with a plan, have a plan.
Any other questions for the chief? All right, thank you.
Sir?
Thank you.
Then we will, the date of the next meeting,
Second.
April 2nd. Okay.
What time? 3?
Well, yeah, we'll say, we'll tentatively set it at 3 o'clock on the 2nd unless something causes us to do something.
Schedule yet?
Yes,
How's he?
good, so.
And why don't we,
Maybe I think that's kind of picked up on the.
why don't we go back into closed session because we have one more interview we have to do. So is there a motion to go
He's
back
coming
into
up.
closed session?
Colored ones last.
Again, for the two,
Colored picture.
the two.
Say you're.
agenda
You get
items
a racing right
here.
here. Oh, wait, raise,
Moved by Commissioner Kopke,
Second.
Monday.
seconded by Commissioner Schaaf. All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, we're back in closed session. All right, is there a motion to go back into open session? Moved by Commissioner Schaaf,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Wanazak. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are back in open session. Okay, while in closed session, we conducted two agenda items. Item D1, which was review background reports on 5 candidates. We reviewed the background on those 5s, found nothing in there that would prevent the candidates from continuing on. Item D2 was interviews with the 5 patrol officer candidates. We conducted those interviews and chose to continue all 5 of them in the hiring process. With that, there are no public hearings scheduled, so I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Wanazak,
Second.
second by Commissioner Shaw. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.
Thank you.